Good morning, and I want to start by giving gratitude to anybody who's been helping me and or my family and community because we need it. I'm greatly appreciative for real. But the past few weeks, I've been in a lot of pain. Um, I ain't trying to gain empathy or sympathy points from people who have their minds made up about me. Um, but now I know why. Finally, I know why. My endometriosis is really, really bad, and my ovaries are kissing each other. So I'm working on that. I've been back and forth to the doctor's office, and it just occurred to me, like, I was talking to some people from some religious people online, and sometimes even with that, you have to be very, very, very careful because even with that, sometimes people might not always be legitimate, or they'll tell you that they care about you and call you sister, but then they might do something that I don't think Jesus would advise or God would advise or condone. Like they might say they want to help you, but they're not telling you to seek legal counsel first for something that has legal ramifications that you're dealing with or that you might have to face in the future. They'll tell you that they care about you and God loves you and all that stuff. But and this is one example. They might hear you talking about how you don't think it's healthy to keep asking black females to run into the fire and try to save people who probably don't want to be saved and can't stand black females and advocate for violence against us. Even if it's even if it's black men, right? That's a specific demographic of black men because it's obviously not all of them. And sometimes I get frustrated feeling like I have to keep saying not all because I think people with common sense understand that I'm never talking about an entire demographic of anything. But a lot of times while I'm being criticized and crucified, that gender war is not being discussed, but it's beneath the surface of why a lot of people have a grudge with me. Because, I mean, I think you could make the argument that I was a part of the gender war. Again, YouTube wasn't always this cut and clean. YouTube allowed, and it wasn't just YouTube, they allowed a lot of dangerous toxicity on their platform. And myself and other black women had to threaten to get to sue YouTube. We had to sign petitions and everything to get some of the worst platforms taken down because after people started complaining, well, YouTube wasn't really trying to take them down because these guys they was earning a lot of money, but some of the things that they were saying and doing was very, very dangerous, very, very dangerous. But in hindsight, I now realize most black people don't care about black females. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me, which is another reason why so many of them are more angry with me or the way I handled things, the way I spoke on things, than the fact that you literally had men on this platform, and this is just one example, talking about how they was gonna, intentionally infect black females with HIV, AIDS, whether it be, through relations or with syringes, and I mean it was so many terrible things happening and being said. I don't even think that's the worst thing. Going back to what I said, by a lot of black people holding me to a higher standard than they do these toxic men. And they don't care about the dangerous, toxic men. They just care about how some of us react to it. But as far as some of us saying, you know what, these individuals who have caused too much harm with that type of rhetoric, and they have a very overt hatred of us. Perhaps when they're dealing with something that's discriminatory, you know, some type of bigotry, even if it's systemic, we should sit it out. We should stick it out. To have certain individuals, particularly certain non-black females, who, if I had to take an educated guess, are either attracted to black men, or hey, some of them probably either dated or are currently with ones who probably might not be the best fan of black women. And I'm putting it lightly. For them to be in group chats, or and they supposed to be women of God, and women who pray, and then they turn around and say indirectly, as a response to what I said about not running back into the fire for guys like that. All, you got to be ready to help all God's children, and turn them to the light, and something along the lines of that, like help them get right with God. And I'm thinking to myself, any individual advocating against domestic advocating for domestic terrorism of black women or any specific demographic is not a child of God, number one, in my humble opinion. And number two, they don't need me or any other black woman to run into the flames to try to like turn them, change their mind, and get them to follow God or whatever. I don't even know if they can be helped at that point. I think that we should leave that up to God or the devil. But I don't think that's of God. It's not fair to expect or demand a black woman to keep going back into the flames for that. Some people might not think that I have a right to speak on this because of the controversy looming over me. And many of these individuals are the ones that's infantilizing certain people from my past, as if they didn't understand the repercussions or the risks or the consequences that came with their actions as well. And sometimes I really do wonder if this also wasn't coming from a place of hate for me not always being the respectable PC activist. Would so many people really be that heavenly invested in, you know, a job I don't have and I haven't had in a long time, and will never have again? Which also, by the way, I've been also thinking like the ramifications of any company that would record somebody listening to something like an audio book, or watching certain shows, and maybe playing songs when the work slows down, right? And let's say hypothetically, certain people who are involved in said TV shows, video games, music, whatever, start having problems. Well, it's like you looking at me and not the actual company. And I have to be careful. Almost any and everything I say is like, I really have to be careful, because it's just like, ain't nobody looking at it from that perspective. I feel like the powers that be basically opened the floodgates for anybody to come after me and my family and maybe even members of my community. And it's like the government is very interesting entity with all the things they've done to people, and they knew that many of these people didn't have nothing to do with nothing, and they hold me to the flames. Meanwhile, it's just like, wow, a company doesn't have a right to watch a employee listen to anything, on their phone, and then people go back and give public figures or celebrities problems. Minus the ones who probably was breaking the law for real. But, and I ain't even, that's a different subject for a different day. But plenty of people, whether it's from the community, my family, public figures and celebrities, didn't know anything, didn't have anything to do with anything. Lately, since people want to sue me so bad, I've been really thinking about that. Like, why ain't nobody thinking about the fact that that company was wrong for doing that? That those public figures and celebrities should never have to worry about anybody giving them problems, because some business that I once used to work for, that I was once employed by, was able to hear, me listen to audiobooks, or for example, I might have watched The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu, and like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like you're infringing upon. Isn't that going against like the First Amendment or something like that? And shouldn't there be somebody trying to work on a law to prevent that in the future? That a company cannot discover what your entertainment interests are and then harass anybody based off of that. And these are just theories. Nobody is ever going to tell me, like, yeah, this is what we actually did. Also, we was doing this every time we paid people to steal your cellular devices. They're not going to come out and say it, but the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. And instead of them taking accountability, they convince a lot of people to come up with these fake stories where people aren't really accusing them of anything. And the irony is, the real stuff goes under the radar. If you know, you have to kind of like know somebody that knows somebody, or you got to like really dig and do your due diligence. Some of the people that's down with that, and it's very harmful for me and my family. I think I might have spoken on it before, because it's not just a fake story. It's a fake story and excess harassment, and the targeting just gets more insidious, and it becomes more violent every time certain celebrities intentionally put out fake stories. So that tells me that they're working with very important people, when they do that, and that they're also a threat to me and mine. And some of them I never had any qualms or any beefs with. It's just that in the background with the gender beef, also I used to go hard in the paint for talented dark-skinned Black women. This ain't just about me and the circumstances of how I got a job, whether or not I'm a liar. It's a little deeper than that. For people who might not understand, all that advocating for talented dark-skinned Black women, the gender war, and for folks who may not be from my community, I put you on to a little something. Ever since I was a little girl, I noticed that with the Black community, Black people don't they never they more in general they have a lackadaisical approach to misogynistic attitudes and behaviors, but they really lose their sugar honey iced tea if a black girl or female responds in kind. So let's just say if it's a black boy teasing a dark skinned girl, I hate you, da 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 da. Or if he says something worse than that, like I hope you die and da 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 da. Sometimes they be like, oh, you need to knock it off, or they might not say nothing to the boy at all. But if that black girl responds in kind, like I hate you too, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't care if something racist happens to you or other black boys. Da, da, da. Now she might get expelled. She might get detention. Or other black children might want to jump her after school. Or and make her the pariah. Some of the things that I'm dealing with as an adult, it's nothing new to me. It's just a lot more dangerous and insidious. And a lot of black parents and adults are also partially to blame because they get mad at the reaction. They get mad at a black female's reaction when they're supposed to be proactive. When black children should not be talking to each other like that. Black boys should not feel that comfortable saying the most terrible things to black females. Who was raising them to think that that's okay? And see, that's how it opens black girls up to Stockholm syndrome. That, and then having, I don't know, privileged light skinned women in your family that don't have your experience with that. And even if they ain't light skinned, well, everything but a brother. You know, a brother is the most important thing on the planet. Even if he is disrespectful, even if he is colorist, in many cases, you're still directly and indirectly being reared and cultured to keep running back into the flames to support people like that. Think about what that could do to somebody's mental and emotional state of mind. And I hear something about entitlement. Well, unfortunately, if you raising black females to be nothing but a black man, and a man comes first, and whatever, even if he's not respectable, even if he doesn't do things that are masculine, like protect and provide, you just supposed to, bend over backwards for him and cape for him because he is a man and he is also a brother. Certain females might start develop an entitlement, and they might want something in return from this community. It's not rocket science. They might want things like representation for females that look like them that they can relate to. They might want protection, whether it's from other black people that are a threat to us, or people outside of the black community who don't look like us. My whole thing is, if you don't raise black girls to be that way and put brothers first, and above all else, you dramatically decrease the risk or the possibility of her having some type of entitlement and wanting something in return. Although in 2025, I don't advise any black female to ask privileged black men for a lot of things, because I don't think it's safe. I think it can be very dangerous, even if you do it benevolently, even if you do it respectfully. And well, because, hey, I would know about asking privileged men for something like, representation or better representation. It's not a good idea. The best thing you can do is create the representation that you would like to see. I am not affiliated with Issa Rae. I don't know Issa Rae. And yeah, once upon a time I used to watch her show. But she's a perfect example. I'm not affiliated with Shonda Rhimes. I never talked to her. Don't know her. She's another example. These are talented black women who decided to use their talents, and they created the entertainment that they wanted to see. You understand what I'm saying? It's better for you to do that. Or let's just say you thinking about swirling, or you're interested in it. Let's just say you're already swirling. You could create that platform. It's a lot easier now with the advent of social media. But one thing I will say is you want to do this before you become a TI. So the best thing you can do is to not be a TI in the first place. Because sometimes I don't really see how I'm getting out of this. I try to envision something positive. You know what I'm saying? Especially now that I'm doing this religious thing, and I started going to church and all the other stuff, but it gets hard. It gets hard when I look around the people that live around me, and I know how dangerous they are. And I don't have a gun. So that's really my only concern. Like, I'm open and exposed and I'm vulnerable. But going back to what I said in the very beginning of this, people that really want to welcome you and take you in and really get you right with God and whatever. Knowing what certain people's situation is. Like, okay, maybe you need to be quiet unless you're talking to a lawyer or whatever. You need to seek legal counsel. Or they're not trying to hear nothing from your perspective. They ain't trying to advise you to seek legal counsel. And they don't even really care about why you might have made certain decisions that you made. It's hard to look at people like that and say that they're on your side. Even if they say, sister, and y'all been doing Bible study, it's hard to look at people like that on your side. And not only that, but they heard you talking about how you don't think it's a good idea for women of your tribe, of your particular race, to keep running back into the flames to try to save guys who are actively participating in something that's very detrimental to black females. And or they have a history of doing that. And as a result, people have felt more comfortable attacking black females, targeting black females, and maybe even killing black females. Somebody that love you and care about you, or black women in general, they are not going to advocate or try to advise or persuade you to try to like get those guys to turn to God. If they care about you, number one, they're gonna tell you don't worry about them, and they would advise you to stay away from people like that and not to engage. Do not engage men like that. But don't try to save them. Don't be a fool, because Jesus wouldn't want you to do that. They are not God's children, because that's not godly behavior. What they're doing is making a more dangerous environment and world for you and other black females. regardless of what y'all think about my controversy. It needed to be said. It needed to be said.